Close to 800,000 people die due to suicide every year, which is one person every 40 seconds. Suicide is a global phenomenon and occurs throughout the lifespan. There are indications that for every adult who died by suicide, there may have been more than 20 others making the attempt. Today's guest is Nancy Hillman. Nancy carried self-doubt from a young age up through her college years, and then a tragic moment pushed her to her limit, and suicide became an option. Here's her story.
I come from an exceptionally large family with a very strong Christian background. I had a limited number of close friends. I was very quiet growing up. I kept to myself, and I pretty much felt very comfortable staying in the background. I always felt awkward. I always felt like I didn't belong. When I was in school, I was bullied a lot, so I stayed angry. I cried a lot, just uncontrollably at times, and I really just couldn't keep my emotions in check. After graduating high school, I went into the Army. And while I was there, I started doing things that was contrary to what my Christian beliefs had been teaching me as growing up. So when I lost my virginity, I thought that it was just the end, and I thought that God could use me. So I started getting depressed. I started drinking more, and I started being a little bit more promiscuous. Well, one night I had been drinking with some friends. They left to go to the club, and I was going to come behind them. A male friend of mine, another soldier, came by. He saw that I was the only one there. He was going to wait on me, but then he proceeded to attempt to rape me. I fought him off. I was yelling, I was screaming. Other people down the hall, they came and they actually knocked on the door. They kept banging on it until he got up and let them in. And so he denied that anything happened. He blamed me, and apparently I really blamed myself as well. I felt really sad. I felt really responsible. I felt guilty. And I just felt like God really couldn't use anybody. He couldn't use me, and that I had went too far along in my journey, and there wasn't anything left for me. I was in another country. I was by myself, and I just thought the best thing would be for me to just go ahead and just die, because nobody would even remember me or even care that I was gone. The thing is that I did attempt to commit suicide. I had 3 roommates, and I just was trying to find a razor. So I found one razor, and I tried to cut my wrist. It was only by God's grace that it would not cut the vein. No matter how hard I tried, it wouldn't work. So I just said, okay, I can't even do that right. So I continued on. I did my job. And then because I did report that person, the military personnel, they came in and they found the letter that I wrote. They went through my items. They found the letter that I wrote to my mom before I tried to commit suicide. So I got put into the hospital. I got tested. I got therapy, and I got treatment that I didn't even know that I needed. If somebody had told me at that time that I mattered, honestly, I don't know if it would have made a difference at that moment, because I had friends, I had people that told me that they cared about me, but I didn't believe it. And I think that that's what's most important, that you believe that you matter. I believe it now. I believe that I am important. I believe that there was a purpose and a plan for my life, and that it was by God's grace that I could not cut that vein. I believe that my daughter is the most important thing in my life, the most important person in my life. And had I succeeded at 19 years of age, I would not have been blessed to see as many things and encounter as much blessings in my life that I have. If I would allow that temporary expression, that temporary anger, that temporary depression to take over and make that permanent decision, there would have been a lot of things that I would not have been able to experience. of the things that I realized, I didn't know it at the time, but when I went to the hospital, the first thing that they did was that they did medical tests. And they did the medical test to see if there was any medical reason of me feeling depressed and suicidal and emotional. They did medical tests. And when they came back and they said that it wasn't medical, it was an emotional thing, then inside of me, it was like, okay, this is me, you know? And I've held on to that. And that's what bothers me now. I mentioned about my health problems that I've had since then, and I don't like medication. Something that has to be broken on the inside to get to that healing part of it. So I think that, and the fact that, I had three, when I was in the Army, there were 4 people to a bedroom unit. I had 3 women that I was rooming with. And you mean to tell me that out of 3 people, I can't find a sharp razor? That was God. And so me believing that there was hope, even though I couldn't identify it as hope, that's what it was. It was something inside saying, there's more to this. There's more. And it would only be years that I actually learned that. It was years later that I learned that no matter what you do, you are not what you have done. That is not who you are. There is a difference. And it took time to learn that. So I can't tell you that it was just something on the inside. No, it was just one moment at a time that God healed me, that He just continued to help me to grow stronger in Him and to silence those voices that were in my head and that sometimes still try to speak, and I'm just praying that the people that hear this, that they begin to hear that voice that God wants to try to speak to them so that they can silence all of that negative voice that keeps speaking so loudly.
According to the National Institute of Health, suicide is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. If you are in a crisis, call the toll-free National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This service is available to anyone who calls. All calls are confidential. Sources and statistics are provided by the World Health Organization and the National Institute of Mental Health. If you would like to share your story, go to www.simonewalker.com and send an email of interest.
You matter.
Want to see more You Matter stories? Make sure you subscribe, click on the notification bell, and don't forget to leave a comment.